Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you're all doing well. Satan's short season and the problems thereof. Today we're having a look at Zechariah 14:4. Let's jump over and have a look. Zechariah 14:4. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives. What day? The day that Christ returns, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof towards the east and towards the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove towards the north, and half of it towards the south. See, the angels said to disciples after Jesus ascended into heaven that Jesus will return in like manner. So when he ascended, he left Jerusalem through East Gate onto Mount of Olives and ascended into heaven. And angels said to disciples that Jesus will return in like manner. So he comes down onto Mount of Olives. Mount of Olives is cleaved in two. He enters through East Gate, where he'll rule from Jerusalem. If you want to read about East Gate and stuff like that, there's plenty on it in Ezekiel. Listen to study on East Gate. This is pointing out that if Christ returned, why ain't Mount of Olives split in two? So the Satan's short seasoners then do this. So we're going to go and listen to Flatzoid last night talking to Greg, a Satan's short seasoner. If this don't set alarm bells off in your head about this, and I'm going to call it an heresy, I'm going to call it a deception, it's men coming up with their own ideas on things that aren't even in Bible. That's why I say it's heresy. Jesus says to us, let no man deceive you. So we're going to listen to how the people who have fallen for this deception, who push this deception, how they try and rebut Mount of Olives not being split in two. So, yeah, let's have a listen.
Temple of the Saints.
Jerusalem.
And where is Jerusalem?
In Israel. In Israel.
Okay, show me in Matthew, Revelation 29, where it says Jerusalem is the camp of the saints. 9. Where Jerusalem, or does it say the camp of the saints?
Revelations 21. Jesus comes down with a new Jerusalem and it gives physical dimensions.
Whoa. No. That's throne judgment. You back 20 verse 9, but wait, you don't have to back up. You can skip what throne judgment.
You know why you don't want to accept the camp of the saints is Jerusalem? You know why?
It don't say that. That's
No, it's because
why.
It's because you believe Jesus is in Las Vegas.
I don't know. I said Jerusalem is Las Vegas. That's the fourth time I'm correcting you.
So that's the first point. So Greg, this Satan's short seasoner, believes that Jerusalem in Israel, it's in America and it's Las Vegas.
Yes.
Why do you keep
Jerusalem is in Israel.
Yes. And where does the Bible pin it?
Yes, and the Bible can literally tell you the geography. If you go through the whole Bible, it tells you the geography of where everything's made out.
Okay.
Correct. The Bible states where places are, where they are in relation. It even gives distances sometimes to these places. That's how do you think like all biblical archaeology is being found at Sodom and Gomorrah, Red Sea crossing, Mount Ararat, all these things have been found not because there were a map pointing you to where they are, but because of what's said in Bible. That's how the people who've gone looking for these archaeological finds have literally read Bible to see what Bible says about where they are, and that's how they've been found.
Thank you. I'm in agreement with you. The Bible will tell us the landmarks. Now, if we go I'm saying
So is the Dead Sea in
Jerusalem
Los
ain't
Angeles?
where you believe. Hold on, I'm talking. I'm saying Jerusalem is not where you believe it is. And I'm also saying I can prove Jesus has already returned. Okay. Now, you want proof. You just said the Bible will give us landmarks. It will talk, and all we got to do is search for the physical landmarks, right?
Mount of Olives.
You agree with that,
Top of
right?
the Mount of
You
Olives.
said, yes, the Mount of Olives. Okay. Now, it will tell it. It don't say Jerusalem. It don't say Middle East. It says, and his feet shall, and his feet, dadgummit, I hate.
It don't need to say Middle East. The people who are writing Bible are in Middle East. I mean, come on.
These stupid pop-ups. This technology ticks me off. Now, it says, and his feet.
You know what ticks me off? How Americans think that everything revolves around America. So all Holy Land's not in Middle East anymore. It's in America. I mean, how prideful is that?
Feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, Jerusalem on the east. That means if you're looking down at a map, Jerusalem be on your left, Mount of Olives be on the right. Now, okay, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a great valley. You know what Great Valley, other two words can be for Great Valley? I want you to Google it right now. Google in, what does Grand Canyon mean? Please Google it.
So there you have it. We've got two claims here. We've got Jerusalem is Las Vegas, and the valley created when Mount of Olives were cleaved in two is the Grand Canyon. So Greg said just Google Great Valley and it'll tell you that it's Grand Canyon. Well, we'll just go one better than that first. We'll have a look in Greek and see what Greek says about the word valley. So, and will stand his feet in day that on Olive of the Mount, which upon faces Jerusalem on the east, and shall be split the Mount of Olives into from east and to west, making a valley. So the Strongs for this is Gar-E, and it can mean a gorge from its lofty sides, and two, it can mean narrow but not a gully or a winter torrent. So a gully or a winter torrent is literally like, you know, when you get like floodwaters running down something and it carves a little gully. That's like a winter torrent. But it's also using gorge. So this valley is classed as a gorge from its lofty sides. Now if we go to Google and we type, is a gorge a canyon? While both gorges and canyons are deep, narrow valleys with steep sides, a canyon is generally wider than a gorge. So the Greeks describing it as a gorge, and you don't describe a canyon same as you describe a gorge. A gorge is more thin and deep. A canyon's much wider and deep. So we've already got an issue there. But what we're going to do is we're going to go and see what Bible says regarding Jerusalem at Mount of Olives and where they're positioned. So if we go to John 11:18, now Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs off. So we've got a distance from Jerusalem to Bethany, 15 furlongs. So a furlong, also known as a stadium, a Greek measure of distance equal to 606 feet and 9 inches. So if we forget the inches and just take the 606 feet, times that by 15, we get 1.72 miles. So if we go to Google Earth, this is Bethany, Al-Azira, all this. It's all Bethany. So if we go and get Lost Jerusalem now. If we go to Eastgate, there. So if we take a measure from Eastgate, zoom out a bit so I can see what I'm doing. So you'll see we can easily say that 1.72 mile takes you to Bethany. Now we don't know whether it was took from Temple and whereabouts in Bethany it were ended, you know. But that whole area is Bethany, and 1.72 miles, 2 miles, it accurately fits the distances given in John 11:18. So we can say that, you know, Bethany in relation to Jerusalem accurately matches what the Bible tells us. Another quick point, Bethany is where Lazarus, Mary and Martha came from, and look, even tomb of Lazarus is close to Bethany. You know, everything just seems to fit in place in Middle East. Oh, this is all good, Michael. I mean, what's Bethany got to do with it? Well, I was just trying to show you how places seem to match descriptions in Bible on how far they are away from Jerusalem in Middle East. So if we go to Acts 1:12, then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem, a Sabbath day's journey. What's a Sabbath day's journey? Acts 1:12 mentions that the distance travelled by the disciples from the place of the ascension to Jerusalem was about a Sabbath day's journey. How far was this? The setting of Acts 1:12 was the disciples returning to Jerusalem after the ascension of Jesus, although Jesus and the disciples had been in or near Bethany, Luke 24:50, which is about 1.5 miles east of Jerusalem. The ascension appears to have taken place somewhere on the Mount of Olives. So I've shown you how Bethany fits what Bible says regarding its distance from Jerusalem. So now let's have a look at this Sabbath day journey. There is no reference to a Sabbath day's journey in the Hebrew Bible, nor is the distance ever defined. However, the Mosaic law forbids work on the Sabbath, which begs the question on how far one could travel before it became work. A Sabbath day's journey was set by rabbinic tradition at 2,000 cubits. A cubit is about 18 inches, making this distance about 3,000 feet, or roughly 3/4 of a mile. You see, they couldn't be walking all day long, otherwise that becomes work, so it's got to be a distance that's classed not work. So if we go down to look at this map, we've got Mount of Olives to east of Jerusalem, and this perimeter shows 2,000 cubits encompassing Jerusalem, and Mount of Olives easily fits within that Sabbath day's journey. 2,000 cubits is 3,000 feet. So 3,000 feet in miles is 0.56 miles. So if we go to Google Earth and we take his measure from Eastgate again to Mount of Olives, which is to the east of Jerusalem, we have 0.51 miles, and as we saw on the map before, it comes down here, and we can literally get to 0.56 miles. I mean, what's chances of these miles matching what's said in Bible? So let's have a look at Las Vegas and Grand Canyon. So if we ask Google how far Grand Canyon is from Las Vegas, as first it is 274.6 miles. Granted, that's not a straight line distance. We'll have a look at that on Google Earth in a minute. But it's giving 4 hours, 6 minutes by car, on foot, it's getting like nearly 100 hours, 99 hours, give or take. I'm pretty sure that like 4 days walking is going to be classed as work. It's not going to be a Sabbath day's journey. Let's have a look on Google Earth. Let's find Las Vegas. Las Vegas. Yeah, so we've got Las Vegas. Come see Grand Canyon. I don't need to Google it. Right, Grand Canyon National Park. So we'll get a measure from Las Vegas to Grand Canyon National Park. A straight line distance of 81.91 miles. Now that's a mega distance and don't match what Bible says. It don't match that it'll be in a Sabbath day's journey. It just don't match. You know, it's absolutely nowhere near Las Vegas. So what we've got going off here is a claim being made by a Satan short seasoner. We've tested it with Bible. We've shown it to be seriously lacking. You know, and thus proving that these Satan short seasoners, that they're wanting to force a belief into Bible that's not there. Christ don't say that he will return in his disciples' time. Jerusalem is in Israel. It's not in Las Vegas. Mount of Olives hasn't been split in two. It's not the Grand Canyon. You know, this is a deception, from what I can gather, flying around YouTube, coming from men. Jesus says, let no man deceive you. Matthew 24. You know, and here we have such a stupid idea that Las Vegas is Jerusalem. I mean, like I said before, if these sort of things don't set your alarm bells going off, you're lacking some serious discernment. But anyway, I'm not going to waffle on. We all know it's stupid who know, and them who are falling for this and believe in it. How you can accept this as any kind of evidence that Christ returned, you need to check yourself. You need to read your Bible. You know, so in conclusion, Greg claimed Las Vegas was Jerusalem. He claimed Mount of Olives was Grand Canyon. I've shown how distance to these places don't match distances given in Bible. It's refuted. I don't want anybody else to tell me that Jerusalem is Las Vegas, because I'll just laugh at you. It's absolutely bizarre that you even think that, you know. Anyway, pray these people wake up to truth. Hope you enjoyed. God bless.